Nsalmilkom u għal darba oħra nerġa' nistidinkom għat-tieni programm ta' Wow. Kenna ħafna respons tajjeb mill-ewwel programm li għamilna u nittama illi qed tipprattikaw dak illi qed nagħtukom naqra taħjil biex tgħinu lilkom infuskom u tħossukom aħjar. Wara kollox il-programm jikkonċerna l-iktar il-wellness totali ta' dak li jkun. U miegħi għandi lil Beverly Rimmer illi once again I welcome you Beverly to the program. It was such a pleasure having you on the other day and the response was really, really good. So l-aħħar darba Beverly ħallitna bil-idea tal-mod ta' kif nistgħu nagħmlu detox il-sistema interna tagħna. Issa ħbieb, jekk aħna qegħdin nitkellmu biss, u intom intawx tipprattikaw, intawx se taraw ħafna progress, I am commenting on the fact that it will make no impact if they just get the good advice and they don't practice. L-aħħar li ħallitna Beverly kienet semmiet self-love. U dik ħaġa li laqtitni għaliex hekk tiftakru kienet kelmet fuq kif għandna nagħmlu brushing tal-ġisem fuq il-ġilda xotta. Kif inqumu, pereżempju, u kemm importanti li nixorbu l-ilma fil-ħodu u għall-inqas 4 fl-ixken żgħar ilma matul il-ġurnata. U li semmit l-iktar impatt huwa għaliex anke l-fatt li aħna qed nieħdu ħsieb ġisimna, hemm idea hemm din l-idea ta' bħal meta aħna qed nagħtu massaġġ il ħadd ieħor. Nagħmluha b'sens ta' mħabba, b'sens li lil ħadd ieħor irridu ntuh ċertu sodisfazzjon. U li nagħmluha fuqna nfusna hija rari kultant, għaliex kultant ninsew kemm importanti li nħobbu lil nfusna u this is a gesture of love. So din hija xi ħaġa illi hija importanti li nżommu f'moħħna. U illum, and so today, Bev, I love that smile on your face because you always put me in a good mood. And today, you know what, I was thinking, like, let's keep to the subject of detoxifying. What, and you mentioned water, for example, and this brushing.
Body brushing. Yeah.
I'm sure 100% that, as we said in the other program, we are what we eat.
Yeah.
Now, so sometimes you get confused, because people are telling you, you need to eat fruit, you need to eat veggies, you need to eat this, you need to... What and when are you supposed to eat the correct type of food for your body?
It's a minefield, isn't it? It's very noisy out there. We've been bombarded from TV, from the doctors, we're bombarded from our grandparents, our parents, our society. This is good, this is bad. We've got all of these different opinions, magazines again. If it says it's good in a magazine, it must be good, And I think we all forget the single most important thing. We have a unique fingerprint. Yes. That makes us unique. No one else has it on the entire planet. And so what we eat, our correct fuel intake, not only is it unique to us, but it changes over time because we change. My mum always tells me, when you were little, you used to projectile vomit if we gave you milk. I don't do that now. I don't consume milk, but I don't projectile vomit because I'm not full. My digestive system, my immune response, everything has evolved, developed, and is responding differently now. I look differently now.
Obviously, yes.
So what is good for one person and the combination is not necessarily good for another person. And what is good for one person now
Oh.
May not be later, you know.
Which makes sense.
A lot of people, particularly in Gozo, have said to me over the last 10 years, why is hops, you know, bread bad? Why is milk bad? I've been having milk. My grandparents had, you know, ancestors had milk. It wasn't bad. And I try to explain to them the ingredients that we produce these products with is not the same now as it was then. You know, our great-grandparents and grandparents didn't have milk packed with antibiotics. They had milk that came from an udder. That was it. And so what we have now is all of these extra things packed in to preserve the life of the food that we consume.
Okay.
And they sit on shelves for months and weeks on end. So just, you can't say bread is bread, because bread is not the same as the bread created 100 years ago.
And this is really interesting, because Mela, let me just translate a little bit. Okay, Mela Beverly qed tgħidilna illi għax jiena staqsejt qedtilha xiex u meta għandna nieklu u xi kwalità ta' ikel. U Beverly qed tgħid illi m'hemmx regola illi tot la għalija u laqqas għalina għaliex għax il-bniedem jevolvi, il-bniedem jikber. Mela dak li jiena kien tajjeb għalija meta kont żgħira jaf li sirt allerġika li issa. U l-istess raġunija qed tgħid illi, u din hija importanti li nżommu f'moħħna, li sfortunatament l-ingredjenti tal-affarijiet illi qed isiru il-prodotti bihom mhumiex l-istess kif kienu dari, mela jekk se neħdu l-ħobż, jekk se neħdu l-ħalib. Dari kienu jużaw ħafna affarijiet naturali, illum anke l-ħamrija. Il-ħamrija ma dix li kienet qabel kienu, I'm talking about soil, I recall that before they used to rotate. You know, qabel kienu biex mek inti għandek għalqa, dis-sena tiżra l-patataw, il-basalem, is-sena ta' wara ma terġax tiżra l-patataw. Għaliex, ħalli il-ħamrija ikollha żmien biżżejjed biex tiġġenera l-minerali li għandha bżonn. Illum mhux dejjem isir hekk għaliex ħabba l-mass production. Hekk nieħdu l-ħalib, pereżempju, dari kienu kun ħalib minn annimali li kienu jiraw fuq ħaxix naturali. Imma llum il-ġurnata x'għandek? Għandek ħalib illi qed nieħdu minn annimali li ħafna minnhom huma mimlien ħafna antibiotiċi, b'ħafna hormones, illi biex iżommu dik li ngħidu la shelf life, biex iżommu iżjed, flok ma jitilqu wara 3 ijiem, jitilqu wara 3 ġimgħat. Jew għandek ħalib pereżempju li ma jitlaqat. I'm talking about this lifelong milk I discovered. Dawka huma allura lilna qegħdin jaffettwawna li meta aħna qegħdin nikkonsmawhom illum il-ġurnata, il-ġisem tagħna qed jagħmel reazzjoni. Allura huwa importanti illi nkunu ħafna attenti għal dak illi nikkonsmaw, għal dak illi niklu. So, how can you really, Bev, deal with this? You know, because I buy bread. I don't consume it much, because when I was younger, as you were saying, I used to consume loads of milk, especially when I was pregnant. But that's a different story. And I used to tell them, I've drunk enough milk for a lifetime. But, you know, nowadays, I'm very conscious of what you are saying. How do you deal with finding either alternatives? What do you do? Well, I mean, because you have to eat.
I think it's not about not eating, it's about eating, isn't it? It's not about restriction, it's about inclusion. You know, if somebody put a pot of chemicals on the table and asked me to feed them to my children, I'm not going to do it. But if they come hidden in some really nice package, you know, am I then going to think it's okay to feed to my children? You know? And so you need to start reading the labels. You need to start looking and being very conscious of what you're consuming. Every food we eat requires an enzyme from the pancreas to go to the stomach to digest it.
Yes, it's very good what you are saying. But for the sake of the readers, it's very important for them to understand what you mean by enzymes,
Yeah.
why are enzymes important, what are they, what's their function, and what's the pancreas, for example.
Okay.
Il-pancreas hija l-frixa, qed nitkellmu fuq il-frixa tal-istonku.
So if we start off with the stomach, where your food goes, all different kinds of food. And then we've got your pancreas, which is an organ that does two jobs. First job, it converts sugars into insulin, all right? And when you are diabetic, this is the organ that is malfunctioning, all right? So this is the organ that's malfunctioning. The second thing that it does is it sends enzymes, which are going to break down the solid food that you just ate, all right, and metabolize it and take it to different parts of the body, right? So if you've got vitamin C or you've got fats, fibers, carbohydrates, they all need to be broken down, separated, and organized.
Okay.
Now, most people's pancreases are quite well stocked on all the different enzymes they're going to require. Some people don't have specific enzymes. The specific enzyme matched with dairy, for example, as in casein, which is an element of milk, animal, mammal, breast milk. It's called DPP4. And if you're missing that enzyme or you have it in low amounts, then you're going to find it incredibly difficult to break down gluten. Again, gluten is in grains.
Okay, wow. Għax datik berru titallem, hi taf dal-program, ġifirina ħafna affarijiet għandi idea tagħhom, imma ma nafhomx b'dawn id-dettall u naħseb interessanti li intom tifhmuhom bħali. Mela prattikament Bevel qed tgħidilna li meta aħna nġu biex nieklu, mhix kwistjoni ta' li ma niklux, imma hija kwistjoni ta' x'hemm fl-ikel li qegħdin nieklu. Partikolarment importanti li nitalmu kif naqraw il-labels. Kwalunkwe prodott li jkollna fuq wara għandu jkollu dejjem x'ingredjenti għandu. Issa, pereżempju qed tgħidilna illi jekk aħna ma nkunux konxi, allura daqsu li kieku inti ġi tgħid l-isma' li t-tifla tiegħek żidilha naqra linka mal-ikel, jien ngħidlek ma tarax. Imma jekk hija dik qiegħda inkluża fil-prodott u jiena ma nafx illi għandha isem tekniku xjentifiku fuq wara. Taf xiex? Nara packaging sabiħ, nara fl-ixkun sabiħ, nara pakket tajjeb u ovvjament l-idea tal-packaging huwa li inti jattirawk, tares leħ u tixtrih u tiklu tikkun smaħ. Imma bat tibda s-ressara minn ġewwa. Per eżempju, dawn huma din informazzjoni jiena nikteb nuħu noti fuq li qed biex nispjega. Mela, per eżempju, il-xogħol tal-frixa tal-pancreas huwa li jibdel, jikkonverti it-zokkor li nieħdu f'insulina. Mela qed tgħid li dawk in-nies li huma diabetiċi, dawk għandhom il-problema tibda fil-pancreas. So, diabetic people, their problem starts off in the pancreas, correct?
It's affected.
Because it's not functioning well. Imbagħad semmit ukoll illi semmit l-enzymes. U x'inhu huwa x-xogħol ta' dan l-enzymes? L-enzymes huma bħal partiċelli li jkollhom bħal naħduhom isna qed impinġi bħal dud żgħir. Sewwa, illi l-funzjoni tagħhom hu illi dawn meta inti qed tiekol huma iqattaw l-ikel u jitfgħuh jibbatuh b'mod naturali fil-partijiet tal-ġisem li għandhom bżonn, mela jekk qed tieħu vitamin C, jekk qed tieħu żink, jekk qed jibbatuhom fejn il-ġisem għandu bżonn dik it-tip ta' minerali. Issa ħafna minna però dal-enzymes aktar ma nikbru, aktar jibdew jonqsu fina u allura li jiġri huwa illi l-organi tagħna illi qabel jew ikollhom bżonn ċertu enzymes, pereżempju il-ħalib tal-om, il-ħalib tal-om għandu enzymes illi ma tistax issibu x'imkien ieħor. Mela, għaliex meta ħafna drabi jippromovu l-idea li meta l-om kollha tarbija tredda b'mod naturali. Għaliex dak li hu naturali li toħloq l-om huwa diffiċli biex issibu fi prodotti oħrajn. Issa, dan l-enzyme li sejjaħ DPP4, jekk huwa dan huwa nieqes fit-tarbija li inti allura il-ħalib li qed tagħtih li mhuwiex direttament tal-om ma jinstabx. Allura dak se jkollu defiċenza illi eventwalment jekk għandek ċerti enzymes nieqsin bil-mod il-mod pereżempju tkun intolleranti għal gluten. Allura dawn huma meta aħna nibdew ngħidu ara jien sirt gluten intolerant, jiena sir diabetic. So this is very interesting what you are saying.
There is a difference between being intolerant or allergic and just not having the equipment to break something down. So if you had a diesel car, you wouldn't say it's allergic to petrol, would you?
Yes.
It's not designed for petrol.
Okay.
So if you are absent a pancreatic enzyme that breaks down gluten and dairy, are you allergic to gluten and dairy, or are you just not built to have it in your body?
This makes more sense. Ma qed tgħidilna l-eżempju li qed tagħti hawnhekk Beverly, Debbie kont se ngħidlek. I was going to call you Debbie for some stupid reason. Beverly is that qed tgħidilna illi l-istess bħalma karozza diesel. Jekk inti għal petrol se tieqaf, għaliex? Mhux għax ħażin għaliha, imma għaliex il-sistema tal-magna hija maħduma biex taħdem bid-diesel, mhux bil-petrol. U jekk aħna għandna sistema tagħna fil-pancreas, fl-enzymes li għandna, illi dawn fis-sistema m'għandhomx biżżejjed programm biex jaħdmu għal dak l-ikel il-qegħdin nagħtuh, allura ħajkonna problemi ta' saħħa. So basically, to make sure that I explained it correctly, if the pancreas or our internal system doesn't have what it takes to process these, then ailments and sicknesses will start to develop.
It's all about, exactly, yeah, and it's all about demand and supply. You know, if you only have a low amount of a certain, active digestive enzyme, for example, and you're going to eat a lot of that food, then the enzyme's going to run out. Then the food's going to cause you a problem, all right? I spoke about DPP4 because it is, people ask me a lot, why are children on the autistic spectrum predominantly allergic to gluten and dairy? They're not. They just predominantly do not have any or very small levels of DPP4. So it's not an allergic reaction, it's they're not built to consume it. When they consume it, it affects the brain, the behavior, and the bowel.
So it's a natural... It's
an enzyme that we have in our body, and if, like brown eyes, blue eyes, if our DNA decides we're not going to be born with it, or we're going to be born with very small amounts of it, then you've got to, cotton on to that quite quick.
Okay, mela malar ħalli niġu għal daqsxejn ta' break qasir. Mela li qed tgħidilna hawnhekk Beverly illi pereżempju ħafna parents illi għandhom tfal autistic ġilli jgħidu isma' għaliex it-tfal tagħna huma daqshekk allerġiċi għal ħalib. U qed tgħidilna li fil-verità ħafna minnhom ikollhom defiċenza, is-sistema tagħhom hija li jkollhom nuqqas ta' dan l-enzyme li huwa DPP4. Issa, allura l-ġisem m'għandux biex jissielet biex jaħdem biex ikollu biżjed reżistenza għax ma jeżistux. U l-istess ħaġa allura qed tgħidilna illi jekk aħna meta nkunu qegħdin nikkonsmaw l-ikel, maħniex konxi illi għandna din id-defiċenza fil-ġisem partikolari tagħna, imbagħad nibdew naraw li nibdew imbagħtu minn ċertu ġaħat, minn allerġiji, minn disturbanzi jinnaf fl-istonku, eccetera. Għaliex, għax il-ġisem ikollu bżonn jingħata minn barra iktar minn dawn l-enzymes biex isaħħuh. Għax inkella huma jibqgħu jintilfu, jibqgħu jitmermru, jiterrew u il-ġisem ma jkollux xista iħaddem dak li aħna qegħdin nikkonsmaw. Ibqgħu magħna għax fl-ġej għandna xi ħaġa interessantisma x'issiru tafu dwarha. Mela, merħba għal dawk kollha illi kienu magħna u dawk illi għadhom kif se jingħaqdu magħna għal tieni parti tal-programm Wow. Miegħi għandi lil Beverly Rimmer illi qed tagħtina ħafna ideat interessantissimi ta' kif nistgħu ta' affarijiet li nistgħu nipprattikaw u issa partikolarment f'din is-section se tgħidilna jew jien se nitluba biex tgħidilna mela jekk aħna qegħdin ngħidu illi isma' hemm ċerti affarijiet li ma nistgħux niklu għaliex għandna nuqqas ta' enzymes għax il-pancreas u ħaġa oħra. So Bev, I would like to ask you this. Let's assume that I wake up in the morning, which I always do up to now, thank God, mela, and I believe that I normally have quite a very good diet, you know. However, I still suffer from bloatiness sometimes. I still suffer from, acidity, especially when I go to bed. I just sometimes, feel I need to take some bicarbonate of soda before I go to bed because sometimes even mentally, I say, yes, it's better to take it so as to prevent it. You know what I mean? What am I doing wrong?
I think when it comes to food, everyone is very similar in the fact they're unique, So we have to think about what we're eating and when we're eating it. Sometimes the body doesn't have enough time in the day to completely digest what you're putting in, right? So for any of you that have not heard of the word fasting literally means to go without food, right? And we can do different kinds of fasts. I have a 16-hour daily intermittent fast. So that means I do not eat for 16 hours a day. And it sounds horrific, but it isn't, because I, as far as I'm concerned, that gives me 8 hours that I can eat. So if you start eating at lunchtime and you finish eating at 8, 9 p.m., you're done.
Okay. Mela. Diġa kont tajta qalbi, okay, mela, jiena qed saqsejt il-Beverly u għedt l-isma' Bev, mela, jiena nqisni bħala bniedma li ukoll healthy. Imma xorta waħda, personalment, fil-verità, imbagħad kultant minn bloatiness u l-iktar minn ħruq ta' stonku. So qed tilgħix qed nagħmel ħażin. U xparir ta' tim. U qed tispjega illi mhux li tiekol, x'tiekol u meta tista' tiekol dak li kell. Mela, qed tgħid pereżempju qalet jiena ħafna drabi aħna nisimgħu kemm importanti li insumu il-fasting, all right? Aħna għandna perjodu fis-sena fejn ngħidu isma' tajjeb il-insumu. Imma fil-verità hawn min jgħid li huwa tajjeb li darba fil-ġimgħa tgħaddi mingħajr ikel. Però Beverly qed tgħid jiena nagħmel insum għal 16-il siegħa kuljum u qalbi niżlet jiena x'inni kol ħafna il-ħin kollu. Però fil-verità Li tagħmel ħafna sens, il-Beverly qed tgħid 16 siegħa ma nikolx, imma għandi 8 sigħat fejn nista' niekol. Jiġifieri din jekk tibda tiekol minn nofsinhar sa 8 ta' filgħaxija, huwa ammont tajjeb. Sewwa, imma il-fasting dawk is-sigħat li qed tgħaddi ma tikolx, qed tagħti ċans il-ġisem biex dak li tkun ikkonsmat għandu id-doppju 16 siegħa. Mela 8 hours at 8 sigħat qed tikkonsma. Imma 16 hours, 16 siegħa fejn il-ġisem qed jipproċessa. So this is the trick behind it.
Yeah.
So you are spending 8 hours where you can eat.
Yeah.
And you are allowing the body 16 hours to digest.
It's not 16. What happens is the body, before the body goes into a state called autophagy, which is basically self-eating. So that's when my cells will eat any toxic cells, damaged cells, nasty cells, things I don't want inside of me. When my body disposes of them, it's called autophagy. To get to autophagy, my body needs to be fasted for 12 hours. Anything after 12 hours is autophagy, is when I go into my self-eating state. So if I'm not going to eat for, 16 hours a day, right, that I'm getting a good 4 hours of cleaning my entire system. So it's like my body does its a body scan on itself, finds out what's not right, what needs to go, and starts getting rid of it.
And that takes 12 hours or 4?
You've got 12 hours before it will happen. All right, and then however long you want. Some people do it for 3 days, but I live day to day on a 16-hour fast. So I'm quite happy to put in the extra 4 hours every day, and then I eat. Then, I open up and I eat.
But when you're saying that you eat then, do you eat like randomly then, or is it also, you eat at noon, and then you eat at 4? And then you eat at 8?
Food is important. You've got to think about food like we think about everything else. So in the morning, I'll take water and fresh black coffee. That is allowed in my 16 hours fast. I'll take bone broth, which is allowed.
Brown bread?
Bone broth.
Bone broth, okay.
Bone broth, yeah. About lunchtime. As we move throughout the rest of the day, I'll take juices. I will make powder shakes, protein shakes. But
this is within the 8 hours?
Yeah. And then I'll have a 3-course meal in the evening, The thing about autophagy and intermittent fasting, once you've got past 3 days and your body has dropped all of the sugar, all of the nasty things have now come away from you, you don't get hungry and you're not craving. People feel like it's a magic trick because you're just not hungry. So you can do it easy. You crave what the body has in it. So you're craving sugar and you're craving bread. You're craving carbs, which has sugar. You're craving all of these things, or you're craving nutrients like carrots because you're nutritionally deficient. So if you balance your body, all right, and you have it cleaning itself, self-cleaning every day, right? It's getting into detoxifying itself, optimizing itself,
Okay.
And that's called autophagy.
Okay. Mela, qed issemminna dil-kelma autophagy, illi prattikament qed tgħid illi hija sistema fejn għandek din l-idea ta' intermittent fasting fejn inti għandek mod ta' kif inti isek qed issuma l-ċerti sigħat matul il-ġurnata. Però fil-verità inti tkun meta mbagħad għandek il-perjodu li trid tiekol, ikollok biżżejjed saħħa għaliex għax imbagħad mela ħan nispjegaw kif qalet illi tiekol pereżempju Beverly. Mela kienet qed tgħid illi filgħodu tieħu l-ilma u tieħu wkoll kafè. Imbagħad qed tgħid illi meta qed jasal il-ħin għall-ikel dejjem tieħu brodu bl-għadam ngħidlu jien ħalli ikollha ħafna vitamini fih u mbagħad matul dawk it-8 sigħat tieħu juices jew tieħu shakes u tieħu wkoll 3-course meal. Jiġifieri tiekol sew. M'aħniex qegħdin ngħidu li ma tiekolx. It-trikk hija din illi bħal bebbuxu Il-bebbux, meta aħna nsawmuh, x'jagħmel? Jibda joħroġ il-likwidu minnu. Għaliex? Insajmuh aħna biex jitnaddaf. Ħalli meta aħna qed insajruh il-bebbux qed ikun nadif. I'm giving an example of snails, because we in Malta love to eat snails.
Right.
You know? Why do we fast snails for a long period of time? So all the toxins
Come out, yeah.
come out. And this is u din hija eżatt dak li qed tgħidilna Beverly illi meta aħna jirnexxinna illi nkunu għamilna perjodu matul il-ġurnata fejn il-ġisem qed intuħ ċans illi jitnaddaf u mhux jerġa' jiekol mill-imbarazz li għandu staġnat, allura hemmhekk qed tgħid illi wara 3 ijiem illi wieħed jibda din is-sistema ma nibqgħux ikonna dik il-lebliba għat-zokkor jew għal affarijiet għal ħobs jew. So what you are saying is, like I used to crave sweets badly, but badly.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, given a choice between sweets and veggies and food, I would go first for sweets,
Yeah.
then for veggies and fruit, and then for anything else. I am a lot better now, but because I really do a very conscious effort. So, like with people like me, you know, who do have these kinds of cravings, would you, what would your advice be in order to hopefully really, you know, balance my system out?
I think it's important to know that all people can go into a state of craving. You know, too much of the wrong thing makes you want more of it, and we're drawn like a magnetic.
Like an addiction.
So, exactly. So we need to go the other way and slowly reduce it. So I say to people, you know, if you can hold, you know, 16-hour fasting window each day, and that would be my challenge to everyone this week. Last week, you know, body brushing, I would say absolutely this week, get as near as you can to the 16 hours. And in those 16 hours of not eating, you can have fresh black coffee, no milk and nothing in it, just fresh black coffee, no sugar, just black coffee. And water, and good mineral water, you know, throughout the day, lots of water. And try and do it just for a few days, you know, and see how it feels, because that gives your body the opportunity to reset itself, to flush itself. You're giving lots of water, you're stimulating with the body brushing, you're giving it 16 hours a day to really get that energy flowing, focused on dropping any toxins, excess toxins inside of you. You know, and then see how you feel, because it's surprising how many people think they're going to be tired, think they're going to be hungry, think they're going to be not able to sleep. And those people have this energy. You know, it's like their energy is really there for them, because it's not being wasted on you grazing food. Every time you eat, energy has to go. Eat, energy. A cup of coffee with milk, energy. Sugar, energy. Can you imagine how many times a day energy is getting redirected to your stomach? You don't eat for 16 hours and you only have water, black coffee, bone broth, which your body does not respond to in the same way as food.
So like these water and bone broth, you can take at any time?
Yeah, yeah. And so your body is now not responding for 16 hours. So after 12 hours, it's like, well, what are we going to do now? Well, we'll just detox her.
And the 8 hours can be at any time. They can be, for example, from 11 till 7.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. Many of my clients do it differently.
Yeah.
I prefer 1 o'clock till 9. I eat late.
Yes.
That's fine for me.
And you're talking about the 9 o'clock meal. I always thought that the metabolism is really slow in the evening.
Everybody's metabolism is different. Again, mine's highly trained. You know, it took me a long time to eliminate all of this, so I can eat pretty much any time. I've trained it to, food goes in, it's digested, and it's out.
Ah, okay.
You know? But I think if you can add this 16 hours to the body brushing, to the water, people are going to find this huge surge in energy. And a little point, when you do eat, be careful how many things you eat at once. all right? It's really important because every food demands its own pancreatic enzyme. And if
I think
it's a bit slow,
that actually, we should have a program on that.
yeah, because I think this is where a lot of things are causing bloating. It's not an allergy, it's too much of too many different things.
Yes, definitely. Okay, Mela, l-importanti huwa kif qed tgħidilna Beverly illi aħna tal-programm lantana hu illi flimkien nirranġaw nippruvaw naraw kif saħħitna tista' timxi l-qudiem. Mela, l-aħħar darba tajnikom l-eżerċizzju li tipprattikaw li tixorbu 4 fliexken żgħar ilma kuljum, tibdew minn filgħodu fuq stonku vojt u tibqgħu għaddejjin sa filgħaxija. U għednilkom ukoll biex tagħmlu din l-idea ta' scrubbing, ta' brushing, biex nenerġizzaw l-ikbar organu li għandna fil-ġisem li huwa il-ġilda tagħna, ħalli għax hemmhekk għandna nkunu qed nolqtu n-nervituri, nkunu qegħdin nolqtu l-ċirkolazzjoni tad-dem, eċċetera. U issa Beverly qed tgħidilna, isma' ejja nagħmlu dan l-eżerċizzju, waraw kif tħossukom. Ħafna drabi aħna niklu mela tindaħlu enerġija, nieħdu zokkor, nieħdu l-ikel, nieħdu l-ħobs, niklu. Imma meta qed nagħtu ċans il dan l-imbirek ta' stonku ta' msaren li jistrieħu u jitnatfu. Allura r-riċetta li qed tgħidilna Beverly hija din. Importanti nażlu 8 sigħat mill-ġurnata. Fejn f'dawk it-8 sigħat nistgħu niklu. Imma jekk se nieħdu breakfast, ovvjament qedna dejjem nibdew bl-ilma u nistgħu nieħdu sa kafè mingħajr ħalib. No milk and no sugar. La ħalib u laqqas zokkor. Issa, mela, meta aħna ngħaddu minn din il-fażi tal-xejn ħalib u xejn zokkor, mela, matul il-ħin sakemm se nibdew niklu, nista' jkollna brodu illi nieħdu minnu. You know? Ma ħdux laħam, brodu tal-għadam, biex aħna ma nkunux qed nikkonsmaw il-laħam ta' tiġiċ u tal-ċange, whatever, il-brodu tal-għadam. Mela, imbagħad wasal il-ħin fejn se nibdew niklu. Missa hija għandna dak il-ħin kollu illi il-ġisem kien qiegħed clear u kien qiegħed mistrieħ milli jaħdem il-kien kollu. Allora Anna, you always mention rest.
Rest, restore.
Restore, u hawnhekk hija il-fażi ta' restoration, fejn il-ġisem qiegħed jerġa' jieħu il-ħajja iktar milli qiegħed jitqal u jixxieħ. And
digest.
And
so
repair.
digest, rest, and restore.
Okay, so digest, rest and restore. Mela, aħna għandna dawn it-tliet affarijiet illi jekk aħna se nżommuhom bħala parti mis-sistema tagħna, il-ġisem qed intuħ ċans illi issa qed jgħid għandi ġu ħoj tieni nikol xbin għaliex issa wasal iż-żmien illi qed inħoss in-nuqqas tal-ikel għax inkella nibda nikol l-imbarazz tiegħi nnifsi. Ġifieri di qed tgħidilna li dawk in-nies illi ma jiklu xejn u jiklu darba fil-ġurnata. So this is important, Beverly. You are saying that it is very detrimental when you find people who, you know, some people say, I fast all day and then I have one meal. That's not good.
Oh, it's not bad. You have to train to get to that point.
But it's not the ideal situation.
Well, it depends, because everyone's unique. You know, for somebody that is very, very sick or somebody that's at the top of their game, it could be very good. It's a lifestyle choice, and it optimizes a lot of people. For other people, it wouldn't be good, you know, because we're all unique, and it's certainly not something, you don't learn to drive a car in a day.
Yes,
you know,
that's right.
It's something you train for.
So, mela, biex nagħlqu huwa importanti illi Inżommu f'moħħna illi ovvjament kulħadd huwa uniku bħal mija unika l-fingerprint tagħna. Imma ninbidlu wkoll iktar ma nikbru. L-isfida li qed tagħtina biex għall-ġittana hija ejja nippruvaw illi nżommu li niklu 8 sigħat matul il-ġurnata u nħallu l-parti l-kbira l-oħra fejn jieħdu ilma jew affarijiet li bħalmu għal-brodu tal-għada. Matul mbagħad il-kumplament tas-sigħat nistgħu nieħdu juices, nistgħu nieħdu ikla 3-course meal, whatever, nistgħu nieħdu squashes għaw x'inhuma li nieħdu illi tiġġusja insomma għandek il-juice shakes, il-shakes għax biex qed tiġi l-kelma. Mela, li nieħdu shakes, nieħdu juice u nieklu. Imbagħad naraw kif inħallu il-ġisem l-ilma nistgħu nixorbu dejjem. Brodu nistgħu nieħdu dejjem, imbitwinijiet, imma mbagħad dawk it-8 sigħat li huma a good chunk of the day, ġifieri ma sibx li għandna l-fejn batu, imma tajjeb li nidħlu f'dir-rutina u naraw kif imbagħad qed taffettwa s-sistema tagħna li norqdu aħjar, li nqumu biżżejjed enerġija, li nkunu iktar iffukati, so dak li aħna qed nippruvaw nagħmlu u naslu għalih f'dal-programm għalija edukattiv ħafna huwa illi kif nista' jiena ikolli bniedma aħjar tiegħi innifsi bija nnifsi billi nieħu ħsieb tiegħi innifsi u għall-ġimgħa li ġejja nittama illi ħafna minnkom se jkollkom riżultati pożittivi b'dak il qed tagħtina Beverly. Thank you so much, Beverly. I never tired listening to all your advices. It's such a pleasure. Grazzi ħafna, insellmilkom u narawkom il-ġimgħa d-dieħla. Wow!